Hi everyone, it's Kyra Wong and I'm here today with Kate Brady, VP of Marketing at DLC, and we are off to do our next Leading Lady interview. So Kate, thanks for being with me today.
Thanks so much for having me. It's an honor.
Yay, yay. So tell us a little bit about Kate Brady.
So who is Kate Brady? I grew up in a very small town, Ontario, in a 13,000 person small town rural. And I was always aspiring to be more. So throughout my childhood, I was always encouraged to think outside the box and to be exactly who I was. My mom taught me very early on to embrace being an independent woman and not depend on a man for anything. And I think that was really ingrained in me in my childhood. And I always strived to be the girl in the high heel shoes, calling the shots and running around and not being afraid to embrace my fashion sense. Coming from a small town, I actually had big dreams of wearing beautiful, fashionable clothes and just being able to express myself in that creative manner. And small town people, traditionally, like jeans and sweaters, there's nothing wrong with that, but I always wanted the fancy stuff. And my friends used to call me fancy. And it was kind of challenging as I grew up because I felt like I didn't fit into that mold of the small town. And but I spread my wings and I traveled and I developed eventually into a very confident person and that can wear pink and all sorts of other beautiful colors and embrace my fashion sense. So
that's awesome. So how do you define success?
Success is a lot of things to me. I've had all sorts of goals throughout life, and I think one of my biggest goals when I was growing up was to be a CEO, to be a leader, to change mentalities and to push boundaries. And so success for me is about finding the right career path and something that really felt like it filled my bucket, and to surround myself with people that inspire me to be better and to look at things differently and to experience places and companies and products differently.
So have you ever struggled with a limiting belief?
Kind of a few. I know I'm maybe just to pick one, but one of them is really as I've grown up in this industry, and I think being 34 and getting that VP role and being pushed to think outside the box and take on a ton of responsibility. As you rise through the ranks and you become more successful, for me it was always am I good enough to be here? It's like that gut check of, I know that I'm smart, I know that I'm capable, I know that I work hard, I know my stuff, but every now and then there's this little niggling feeling in the back of, am I good enough to be here at this age? Am I good enough to sit at this table? Am I good enough to be in this industry? Am I good enough to be leading this division?
So what do you think you've sacrificed to get where you are today?
Oh, it's a loaded question. First and foremost, my marriage, 100%. In 2016, when I was really questioning things and my friend tapped me on the shoulder and said, "You're not happy," a lot of that was personal unrest and feeling like I was not probably where I needed to be. And my marriage was on the rocks in 2016 and absolutely imploded in 2017 and came to a catastrophic firework end in 2019. But, I sacrificed that. I sacrificed that relationship because, and probably unfairly, because I knew that it wasn't what I needed. And in hindsight, I really wish that I had the strength to let him go sooner. I have a lot of respect for him, love him as a person. He wasn't my person. And, I think I held on to that relationship for a lot longer. We'd been together 10 years and he was my person, he was my best friend, but he wasn't the husband I needed. He wasn't the partner I needed. We want different things out of life. We still do. And one of those big things that he wanted was children. And I always struggled my whole life understanding if I wanted my own children. My mom will say, "You were knee high to a duck," and never said, "I don't need my own kids. I just want to run a company one day," which is probably still very true today. But for me, not having that urge to have children. My friends knew, oh my God, I'm going to have 10 babies. I'm going to get married to my high school sweetheart. I'm going to have all these kids. And I was always like, when the time's right, maybe after this event, maybe after this promotion. And I realized, especially through my divorce, that I don't need my own children to be satisfied and fulfilled, and really is about who is around the table at 80 or who's around the table now that fulfills something else, or I can impact someone else. It doesn't need to be my own flesh and blood. I'm in a very fortunate and loving situation now where I have two incredible kids that I get to interact with on a regular basis and hopefully impact and shape their lives in some way, and an incredibly supportive partner. But it took a long time and a lot of sacrifice to understand, am I okay with that?
Have you ever bumped up against the glass in the corporate world?
Yes. I think we can probably all say in some aspects that we have. Mine's a little different. I think the marketing space, the agency space is a bit cutthroat, as all industries can be, but it is a primarily female-dominated industry, I would say, in that marketing agency life. And I had incredible mentors as I grew up in the marketing space, but I also had female leaders that I think encourage you to a certain point. If you show too much talent or too much ambition, you become a threat, perhaps. Maybe not, but that's how I saw it. And so there were certain opportunities that I think I was passed over for that I was more than qualified for, just because I think I was probably better at the role than the person hiring for it.
What's a piece of advice you would give to your younger self?
Ooh, probably plenty. But I think the biggest one is trust your intuition and go with your gut. There's been so many moments in my life that I've kind of ignored that niggling feeling. This might not be the right situation, this might not be the right relationship, this might not be the right friendship, the right work scenario. And every single time my gut was right, and I've learned something from it. I think it's important to evaluate a situation when it goes wrong and take stock of what it taught you. But I wish I had learned to trust my intuition a lot more.
What is your spirit animal?
A hawk. So I struggled with this one, thinking about what do I relate to most. I took all the tests, but for me, as I look at all sorts of different spirit animals, the hawk just resonated with me the most. It's free. I'm a free bird. I like adventure. I like to be able to do what I need to do and experience life, but also hawks are wise, and because they get to fly around and see everything, they have a different perspective, and I think I have a unique ability to see situations differently with a different perspective. So those types of traits really resonated with me.
Thank you, Dominion Lending Centers, for your generous sponsorship in making this video possible.